Welcome back. You are now on the lifestyle segment of the weekend show. I'm here with Zainab. Good morning.
Good morning, Aisha. I mean, you're always looking so amazing that I'm beginning to wonder if we need EFCC to investigate you.
Please, no
How
way.
can you look this good with the rising cost of living?
Honestly, I'm just doing my best. And yeah, it's so really becoming concerning. Like, I don't know how I'm getting by, but here I am. Good to see you this morning.
Well, thank you. Good to see you too. And this is the lifestyle segment of the weekend show.
All right, so let's get straight into it. As you mentioned, we're talking about the cost of living. As you all know, a visit to the recent, Market Times reveals that the cost of food and other household items is still on the high. There have also been significant increases in price of cooking gas, liquid fuel, solid fuel, passenger transport, and by road and by air, and so much more. Also, the value of the naira continues to depreciate, even though regulatory agencies say they are doing everything possible to stabilize the economy. Both salary earners and self-employed citizens are complaining that their earnings barely meets up with family demands, including feeding, clothing, shelters, and education. Well, according to the National Bureau of Statistics, (NBS), Nigeria has been having double-digit inflation since February 2016 at 11.38%. Wow.
Okay, and this morning on the lifestyle segment, we are taking a look at how, families can cope with the rising costs of living. And joining us to have that conversation this morning is the CEO of Freshly Grains. We're excited to have you join us on the program this morning.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I was thinking about it just yesterday, and I went to the markets and realized that the price of turkey had skyrocketed.
Oh.
I asked for the price of a bag of rice, and I just packed my things and went back home because where do you even start from? Families need to eat healthy. Families need to
Stay alive.
stay alive.
Stay alive.
But
exactly.
it seems impossible, and you run a food business, a healthy food business. What has been your experience? How has it been?
To be sincere, it's not been nice. It's not been easy at all because I go to market every day. So
Every day?
yeah,
Oh my
almost. Let me say, and then you buy something. Example, let me say like something of 500 today, and you go back the next day, probably like after running out of it, and go to replace, and you hear 550, 600. It's crazy because we're selling. We are preparing and selling, and then we don't increase prices. We don't put our clients on like place them on pressure to say, oh, things are increasing in the market. So it's actually a big, strong thing on the business anyway, because it's crazy. Like you will go into the market with money, like enough money you think could be enough for certain items, and then you come back and count it's not enough. It's not easy. Then this is business. Then how about families?
Right.
Salary earners, tell me. You're talking about turkey, that's mad.
I
You
don't
see
even
that
eat
turkey right now?
anymore.
You see that turkey right now? It's a kilo of 5,500, and that's 2 pieces. Tell me, that can make at least a small pot of soup. It's not something to just enter and start buying, except you want to spoil yourself like over the moon kind. It's crazy in the market, trust me.
My real issue is, being a business owner, you like you said, you can't tell your customers, oh, we've increased today. So how do you plan, what you're going to buy? Because, for example, your menu sets, what you've been selling or serving from last year is still what you have on this year's menu.
Exactly.
So how do you plan, do you reduce the quantity? Because that's something Nigerians don't also like. How do you go about it?
Yeah, reduction of quantity.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but I let them know because most of them already, would ask, this is small, what's going on? Like, don't you enter the market, please. Instead of me to increase the price, I rather reduce just a little. Though I try not to be rude, I try not to make it look small. I still try to make it worth their money because I feel everyone understands how the system, what is going on. So the best I can do, maybe if it's a plate of chips, on counting, if the chips usually used to be like 30 pieces, I can reduce it to like 26, 27, maybe like 3 pieces away. Some people don't even know that it's reduced, and some know, you get. So I just try to make everyone still be happy, knowing that
satisfied.
just not trying to extort them, you get. We just have to move on. We have to be happy, we have to be satisfied, we have to still understand what's going on.
All right then, but let's come to families. You know, that's you as a business owner,
Exactly.
but families have to cope with this reality too.
Definitely.
Some, their salary have not increased in the past 5, 6 years, and we just keep seeing inflation. As at August 2023, inflation was about 24%, and that's
Yes.
the highest we have had
ever been.
since
Yes.
2005.
Yes.
That's the highest ever. This, you know, continuous increase, how do families find a balance? How do you ensure that you don't want to begin to give your children just rice because things are expensive? You don't want to begin to give them just beans every day because they must eat
Yes.
balanced diets. They are
Yes.
growing,
Yes.
right? And even as adults, we also need this. We need all the classes of food.
Nutrients, yeah.
We need all the nutrients to stay healthy. So how do families find it? What are the tips the families can use to cope with the current? What
how
are
to
those tips that you
manage.
have? How do we manage it?
How do
Yes,
we
that's the
manage?
word.
As in, fortunately, we have good environment, good weather. God blessed us with good weather that we can plant, we can have food, produces from year to year, but let's say all year round. One. Unfortunately, we don't make use of that. We don't even see it, all right? Every family, I suggest, should own a farm.
I was scared. I thought you were going to say that. Now you said it. I'm not going to farm.
No, listen. You might not have the land. Not everyone has it, but there are different ways, you know, we adopt. Like you can plant with buckets, you can plant with bags behind your houses, in front of your houses, somewhere. Even as a single person, you can. You can plant spinach, you can plant pumpkin, you can plant anything, depending on the weather, the environment where you are. That's, you know, families. I think if we should be able to embrace farming, little, not like for you to start selling them, but something you can have. To be sincere, I've never, this is my first time of going to the market to buy ugu vegetable.
What we
and find
call,
it very,
what's the
pumpkin.
English? Pumpkin, yeah.
And find it very expensive. That's like the minimum. You get? How? It's something you can plant, you can have. Spinach, very expensive. Why? There are little things you can have in your backyard you can get. They can be enough for you, for your little homes. Like you don't have to go to the market to get, and then they will start telling to ask for, they will start charging you so high, and then you start crying like, oh, this thing, I could get it in my backyard, I could get it from my neighbor. You know, that's what families, first of all, they should try to get into farm, try to plant some things that they can get on their own. Then the ones that they can't even have, maybe like fish, the rice we're talking about, the spaghetti, you know, there are little, there are smaller, there are lower prices of fish. You know, to me, fish has almost like all the nutrients, different types of it. They have like almost the same range. So you can get the one you can afford to cook for your family. You don't have to hang your hands high to please everyone, because I feel we are understanding, everybody's understanding what's going on.
Definitely.
You want to cook a small pot of rice and then like turkey. When you're like
What if
maybe
what if that's
8
what you're craving?
No, you
have to-
crave one thing. No, I'm not saying it's wrong, but the price is crazy. You can, okay, do that once in a time. You know, the time maybe your bus stop, you want to treat your family right, you do that. But when you know you don't have enough, you can actually do little fish. You can do that rice we're talking about. You can even do the beans once in a while on a menu plan. And then there are different places you can get your classes of food from. You can get your proteins. There are proteins in vegetables. There are proteins in fruits. There are proteins in little traces, actually. There are proteins in animal foods, like the fish we're talking about, the little meat. You know, you just combine these things small, and then you will get your nutrients in sufficiently from that meal. You don't have to hang your hands too high. And then when you're going to the market, try to buy the things that are well affordable. All the vegetables can give you the nutrients like the vitamins, the minerals, the traces, you need. You don't have to go for the foreign, the imported vegetables to satisfy yourself. You get? So that's what I suggest. And when I'm making my meals, I try to use our local produces because they are far better. And then when talking about the healthier way, I think our local ones are better because they're not highly fertilized and they're not so much exposed to chemicals. When farmers are trying to control pests and the kind of things they use to control the pests, they are all chemical based. But then coming to the planting around us, if you're planting on your own, definitely you will reduce the hands. But you will even have less chemicals infused in your vegetables, your fruits, and your produce in your farm, poultry, whatever you're doing, you get. So that's what I think and suggest that families should try farming. And then when going to the market, try to pick our local produces that are easier, cheaper
as well.
But they still give you your nutrients.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, well those are very helpful tips. I think small farming, trying to replace those foreign produce we buy with local ones, cheaper alternatives. Okay, before we come back to the alternatives that exist or that we can explore, is budgeting something that works? When it comes to trying to manage the resources you have. Is there a way to budget around the different classes of food or the nutrients that you need to say that, let me prioritize this? How can families, is budgeting even something that is helpful, or you just roll with what you have?
Or is it even possible, knowing the changes that you mentioned in the market? It's daily changes.
In this situation right now, you can't budget because you will get to the market and get heartbroken. So I feel if you have to budget, just, not with the price on it, you can list down like, I'm doing this, let me go with lower prices of fish. Let me go with lower quality, not even lower quality, I would say our local produces, like I mentioned, they are still cheaper than, and then don't put your prices. You're cooking now and say you want to cook with fish, example, maybe you want to make a pot of soup. You don't have to have all the animals in your pot of soup to get all the nutrients. You don't have to have beef. Some people add beef, chicken,
shrimp.
Fish, shrimp, periwinkle. That's too much. No, that's too much. Let me tell you, if you're doing shrimps, you're getting the seafood nutrients, all those nutrients in the seafood as well. The fish still gives you the same. So why don't you say, I'm doing shrimps, I'm not doing fish.
Sure.
I'm doing periwinkle, I'm not doing shrimps. You get?
Yes.
I'm doing this kind of fish, I'm not doing the other type. I'm doing goat meat, I'm not doing beef. Why do you have to do all this to impress? Who are you impressing? You're actually making the food look crazy. You are getting the nutrients you need, and there's protein in all the animals. So there's protein in fish, there's protein in beef. So if you're doing do this, leave this for another day. Do you get? Then if you're doing fish, you start from there's crayfish in the market. There are some beautiful, nice fish, you can get, and then people don't even know. And they usually neglect them in the market, like the poor man's food. They are too cheap. Meanwhile, there are nutrients embedded.
I like that.
So if you're not, you don't have to budget and to me, I don't really do that. If you enter the market, I like to go lower to check the prices, to check this can do, this can give me this in this type of, you don't have to go overboard to impress. Red sniper is very expensive. Croaker fish is,
you know what? It is something that we're dealing with here in Nigeria.
Yes, families should be able to do cheaper ones in the market. Yes, alternatives.
All right, thank you so much, Chioma Nzewa,
yes,
the CEO of Freshly Greens. It's been exciting having you this morning and sharing with us. Thank you for sharing with us tips that families can use to cope with the rising cost of living. We're glad to have you another time.
Thank you so much.
Indeed.
My pleasure.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, we've got more coming up on the lifestyle segment. Just give us a quick break. We'll be right back.